Welcome, 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 everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you stopping in for a full album reaction, sitting down, maybe grabbing something to drink, sitting down with a meal in hand, whatever you're drinking, whatever you're eating, or maybe you're just traveling somewhere. Who knows? But regardless, I appreciate you stopping in today as we dive into a full album listen of Extravaganza. That is going to be the fourth studio album by the band Stackridge, which was released in 1975. We are checking this out as this was suggested and sponsored by Paul. Paul, thank you so much for the recommendation. Thank you so much for the support as well. I truly appreciate that. And I see that the album had also been suggested by Martin Patterson as well. So Martin, thank you so much also. We've only covered one track from the band, which was Godspeed the Plow. But that was a really, really fantastic track and a great kind of, for me, introduction to the band. So very curious to see how they stack up when, putting it up, no pun intended, when listening to a full album. I really didn't intend that at all. I really like the album cover, just to put that out there. It kind of, stylistically, it kind of reminds me of Trick of the Tail a little bit. It kind of gives me a little bit of a similar vibe. Not, obviously, of course, not exactly the same, but there's some stylistic similarities there, which I think are kind of cool. And perhaps for all we know, the characters on the cover possibly could correlate to the songs, just like Trick of a Tail. I don't know. It's definitely possible, or maybe not. It could be just completely artistic and licensed. Anyways. Let's not talk too much. Let's get the plugs out of the way. Let them fly by. The Buy Me a Coffee is here. If, of course, you have a song request and you'd like to guarantee that song request gets reviewed by myself, and you can do so over there. Patreon, of course, exclusive things. And did I say exclusive? And if you don't mind pressing that like button, it helps a great deal. Sharing the video also as well. Yada, yada, yada. Enough of that. How about we get into the fat? Like the meat of the music, which is the music. That didn't make sense either. Okay, Extravaganza, Stackridge. How about we dive in with the first track, which is Spin Round the Room. And as always, had to pop the cap. I had to pop the cap. Anyways, this one, my friends, is to you. Let's have a phenomenal time. Here we go. Like in a saloon.
Well, I spin round the room, stare at somebody else.
No time wasted.
But I think that sometimes I embarrass myself, like running in and out and guessing just when to laugh, timing all my entrances and talking too fast. Yes, I trip over your old words asleep on the mat. Like a pauper's dying daughter, who's counting what she's got, like an up-and-coming actress who's finding she's not. Well, your book sure is good, always said it would be, and thanks for selling all the world, the ins and outs of me. Well, you never spared a feeling, never thought that you would, but when I get to thinking,
that clarinet has a very New Orleans kind of sound to it.
Who's counting what she's got, like an up-and-coming actress who's finding she's not. Well, I spin round the room, stare at somebody
It's such a saloon kind of song.
Sometimes I embarrass myself, like running in and out and guessing just when to laugh, but timing all my entrances and talking too fast. Woo!
That was only 2 minutes. It's like some old vaudeville. with the vinyl crackle. I love that they did not waste any time in showing you exactly what they're about on this album. At least at this particular track, it explodes right into it with this very, very interesting style of kind of old time jazz. And there's a slice of maybe something like kind of vaudeville esque with some of the sounds. There's a little bit of a New Orleans kind of jauntiness as well with the playing of the clarinet here. That's going to be handled by Keith Gemmell, who's handling sax, clarinet, and flutes throughout the album, alongside with Michael Mutter Slater, who's also doing some flute with some vocals there. But I really like how stylistically I can't speak for, of course, previous albums, but it feels so stylistically unique, especially at this time, at this era. It sounds like perhaps they have a personality unto themselves, but they draw from different influences very, very well. The lead singing, I'm assuming that it's going to be Andy Davis, as he's credited with guitar, mellotron, and vocals first on the personnel list. So I'm assuming that he's leading most of the time. Really sounds great. He does sound like he's on stage, but without acting theatrical, if that makes sense. He has a voice that carries itself with a lot of drama and expression, and a little bit of tongue-in-cheekness with the track. And we'll have to look at the lyrics here, but I feel like he kind of captures all that really nice. The piano, performed by Rod Bowkett. Like I said, that is really what captures the saloon, Western kind of old style. I'm talking Gunsmoke. What was the lead actor of Gunsmoke, Matthew? Matt, I think was his name. I used to watch Gunsmoke when I was a kid, and I remember always the intro of credits and everything. I was never into Bonanza. Seemed too silly for me, but Gunsmoke, that was more my speed. But I really enjoyed just the way they set up everything. And there's also a sort of elegance that they bring to this saloon. It's not just a dirty down bar, out in the West. This is something with a little bit of class to it in many respects. I think that especially comes through of just the instrumentation, especially from like the clarinet and such. That's a phenomenal intro. And really great drums. I didn't even mention the drums. Roy Morgan on the drums. I love that section with the hits, the ba da da ba ba da da da, and you get those heavy drop down into the either the floor tom or maybe a double kick. I couldn't quite tell, but it has a nice depth to it, which feels really good. And then when it gets into that second part of the song, where everything kind of fades into this sound like it's being performed or played rather on a vinyl record, you almost get like a little bit of a drum solo in there as well, which was really snappy. Would have been nice to hear that in the full effect and not just as if we're hearing it from a vinyl record. But regardless, that was a nice, cool effect to kind of transition to the end of the track. And it's only a 2-minute and 45-second song, so they did a lot within that short amount of time. Well, I spin around the room, stare at somebody else, but I think that sometimes I embarrass myself. Like running in and out and guessing just when to laugh, timing all my entrances and talking too fast. He's trying to make a place for himself. He's trying to, get the timings right and be the cool guy. But he always misses the mark a little bit. Yes, I trip over your old words, asleep on the mat, cracking those rancid jokes that always fall flat. Feeling like the sun who rose to find his 3 o'clock, the sun who rose to greet itself and found itself too hot. He always finds himself in the wrong place, at the wrong time, in the wrong position. Like a pauper's dying daughter who's counting what she's got. Like an up-and-coming actress who's finding she's not. So he really always feels he feels unlucky, to say the least. Well, your book sure is good, always said it would be. And thanks for selling all the world the ins and outs of me. And you never spared a feeling, never thought that you would. But when I get to thinking, I still reckon it was good. Like still, even though his opportunities kind of slip through his fingers and he falls flat in a sense, he still enjoys the life. Spin around the room, stare at somebody else, but I think that sometimes I embarrass myself. Like running in and out and guessing just when to laugh, timing all my entrances and talking too fast. Trying to hit those opportunities, but just doesn't quite work out. Just spinning around the room. Let's go ahead and move on into the next track here, which is going to be Grease Paint Smiles. All right.
Day after day, standing here as the show begins. Only the thrill of a cheer calls me back again.
Even still, the piano has that old school kind of style.
But laughter fades in times of isolation. Far, far away is the clown who never cries.
See, he does have a kind of character in his voice, a little bit.
Raise a smile, let the sun shine through. Lift your hearts, there's nothing to lose.
It's an interesting rhythm structure.
When the music ends, and let's all have fun with the clown. Town after town, passing by. Some are lost to me. Time after time.
Just kind of have that sad clown kind of feel to it.
Some have memories. The grease paint smiles. My only consolation now and again. I remember all the times I
Nice expressive bass playing there.
every smile hides a tear. A laugh makes it
guitar.
clear. It's all worthwhile. Raise a smile and let the sun shine through. Lift your hearts. There's nothing to lose. Leave 'em laughing when
That's a catchy horn.
the
sax.
all have fun. The show's just begun. Let's all have fun with the clown.
Let that sax roll.
You'll never know just what tomorrow may bring. Lift your hearts and dance and sing. Leave 'em laughing when the music ends. And let's all have fun.
Love that big organ that comes through too. It's nice.
This the one. Let's all have fun with the clown. Raise a smile. Leave 'em laughing.
Oh. I love how we let that sax ride. We let that sat roll the dice, blow on them, shake them out, and you get some luck for them. I really like Gemmel's playing here, and I really like how we got it a little bit of an expanded take on that playing. You know, we get a little bit of a solo in the middle, and then a nice little outro to squeak us out there at the end. Okay, so first of all, are they an English band? I just want to say or see before I... All right, British progressive rock band. Okay, so because they have a certain sound that's very, very like British, very English, like to me. Like, I don't know what it is. I can't quite tell you what it is, but you can just tell that they are in that particular area when it comes to prog, and I think that that comes through really nicely in their music, and especially now that we are 2 tracks in, maybe we're kind of getting a little bit more of a feel for the band as a whole. This kind of old school jazz sound that they bring into the music, and not just with the obvious, saxophone coming through, but even some of the production styles when it comes to like the keys, the organ that comes in here, I'm assuming that's Balket taking care of that. And like there's just a certain way that they play that also lends itself to a certain kind of, I hope this doesn't come across disrespectful. It's just the way that it's where my mind goes. Like almost like a jazz band at a fair or at a, not a carnival, but like playing at a parade. There's just a certain way that they perform that it has a big band energy in a smaller venue, if that makes sense. But it works incredibly well for their style and what they're doing. In this track specifically, I really like the rhythm section and the structuring of that. The drums are once again to me like a standout, and of course I'm biased towards them. I pay attention to them, but I really like how they play. All right, first you got the big parade steps, right? The bum 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 ba da 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 bum, and you kind of play around with that. And the second part of that allows a lot of spacing and a lot of different opportunities for the drums to kind of play different fills and kind of be a little bit more creative in that section. So I like how that moves. And then the chorus kind of builds things up, and from the jauntiness of the parade-like march in the verse to something very upbeat and very fun and fulfilled in the chorus works incredibly well in all ways. Andy Davis, once again on the lead vocals here, has a certain dramatic flair, but once again without being so overt. Like it's very much like local theater rather than Broadway. And I don't mean in ability, I mean in how he's coming across. There's more of an intimacy here in his version of drama rather than some big, grandiose, majestic kind of style. Both have their place, but I like Andy's place here in this particular track. And of course, that breakaway section when we get to the horns and the instruments gets to move on. Really like the bass line before also here. Here's your first breakaway. Really, really swelling. Nice wide open space for the bass as well, stretching it out. And then it snaps back into it, and then in the end we get another outro. So even at the end we kind of quickly get like a last little verse, and then it moves on from there. It's really cool. So cool band. Day after day, standing here as the show begins, only the thrill of a cheer calls me back again. The laughter fades in times of isolation. Far, far away is the clown who never cries. Raise a smile and let the sun shine through. Lift your hearts, there's nothing to lose. Leave 'em laughing when the music ends. And let's all have fun with the clown. Town after town, passing by, some are lost to me. Time after time, wondering why some have memories. The grease paint smiles, my only consolation. Now and again, I remember all the times I've said, every smile hides a tear, a laugh makes it all clear, it's all worthwhile. Like, there's sadness, of course, behind his painted-on smile of the clown. And yet, he says, a laugh makes it clear it's all worthwhile. He hides his own pain. He suppresses his own emotions, of course, being a clown, to spread joy, to spread happiness to others. And at times, it depresses him, it seems, by the chorus. But when he sees the laughter that he evokes from others and the joy that he brings to others, it makes it all worth it. Raise a smile and let the sun shine through. Lift your hearts, there's nothing to lose. Leave them laughing when the music ends. Let's all have fun, the show's just begun. Let's all have fun with the clown. You never know what tomorrow may bring. Lift your hearts and dance and sing. Leave them laughing when the music ends. Let's all have fun and make this the one. Let's all have fun with the clown. Or as he says, the clown. I did it horribly. Raise a smile, leave them laughing. I like how the positive nature of the music and how upbeats and, circus-like and the jauntiness of it really works with the lyrics. And, just let's put on a good show, make them laugh, give them a good time. So give them an hour of laughter, an hour to get away from the day-to-day in which they can just sit back and concentrate on the fun, the laughs, and the act from the clown. Let's move forward into the third track here, The Volunteer. I'm not going to argue against Mellotron.
When I was younger, I used to wonder if I would sail across the sea, dressed like a soldier and sleep beneath a tree. School days were contemptible, your girlfriend sported foils, the rarely found presentable, and the air was kept
Bass is always hitting on the kick, really
specifically. Whiskers, size 10 blisters. Sergeant Major Busby has a phonograph. He entertains his fellow men with tea. He often bellows dirty words. His wax mustache is quite absurd. Ain't it barmy? Join the army.
That's classic drumming right there.
Socks, he said to me.
Is it a different singer?
The very first day I joined a volunteer. I know it sounds remarkable, I'm stationed in Sebastopol. What a caper, bless my maker. When I was younger, I used to wonder if I would sail across the sea, dressed like a soldier and sleep beneath a tree. 'Cause lately it's debatable if I'm alive and well. My thirst has been insatiable, like a banshee at a bell. Now I've got bunions big as Colonel Upshot,
Always waiting for it to start up again.
He entertains his fellow men with tea. Often finding light relief with a red-faced Batman underneath. Ain't it barmy? Join the army. It's off boxing or with sauce, he said to me. The very first day I joined a volunteer. And though it sounds remarkable, I'm stationed in Sebastopol. What a caper, bless my maker.
Guess he spat on that deal.
988943671. Received his formal discharge yesterday. The only thing he said to me was, don't go sleeping under trees.
Okay.
Ain't it balmy?
Wasn't expecting the violin solo. It's a big ending. Okay, like I said in the beginning, a little bit of Mellotron, you're never going to spoil my dinner. I really like how the Mellotron is used to, of course, begin the track, but also using a big little bit of flourish at the very end. It's a very quick outro, with the big expansiveness in those hits. But I wish that they could have kind of kept that going into another instrumental section. To be honest, maybe that's just me wanting more. Is what that comes down to. That's just my selfishness. Okay, I like how they tell this tale, and every song has a story to it. I don't believe this is a concept album. It doesn't seem like it's necessarily related, but every song has its own story, which is. I'm going to have to look at the album cover again and see if there's a clown in the album cover, then we could be having a trick of tail situation where every character on here represents something, but we'll look at that in a little bit. Okay, first of all, one thing I'm noticing is the rhythm section between Morgan on the drums and Karras on the bass, Paul Karras that is they always lock in very, very tightly. And this is, of course, very natural. The bass and the drums usually do lock in. That is your rhythm section. There's even a genre, of course, drums and bass. But like the way that they do it, it seems that like Karras is always very, 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 almost more so than in a typical way, kind of locked in on the drums and kind of specifically the kick. He was always riding it with the groove and then kind of expressing himself outside of that at certain times. Now, Morgan does the same thing on the drums, of the way that he fills. And there's one specific moment in there where he kind of catches a nice little groove. He catches a bug there and he just kind of goes off for a second, which is really nice. But they're like very, very in sync with the way they play, which makes the fun, upbeat kind of jaunt of the track that much more satiable and that much more enjoyable. And this one, like the previous, like has that strong thump, that bam, 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 where it moves along at that particular pace, and all the embellishments happen around that, which sound really great. Now, very well could be Andy singing on this one again. It also could be someone else taking lead because it's, I don't know, it could be Andy. He just has a diverse voice, but it just sounds like someone else singing this one that has a more sarcastic kind of tongue-in-cheek tone, which works, of course, very well with the lyrics and what we're talking about. But if it's Andy, great diversity in his singing styles. If it's someone else, I'm not exactly sure who that would be. What I can tell you who, one thing that would be, was Michael Evans on the violin. Really love that violin solo at the end. It is such a perfect transition out of the song into that solo. And then the solo itself is fluid, it's melodic, there's some sprinkle of fast notes, there's a lot of open and sustained notes. Like, it's just the perfect solo to cap off the ending of the track, and that feels really good. You're going down, basically. Here's your last jauntiness. Here's the transition. That leads you off. That takes you where you want to be. I just love how there's a little bit of a folky kind of sound to it at that particular sound that introduces it right there. Really, really well done. Let's see about this volunteer's luck. When I was younger, I used to wonder if I would sail across the sea, dress like a soldier and sleep beneath the trees. Romanticizing. School days were contemptible, me girlfriend sported boils, though rarely far presentable, me hair was kept well oiled. Now I've got whiskers size 10 blisters. Things have changed. Sergeant Major Busby has a phonograph. He entertains his fellow men of tea. He often bellows dirty words. His waxed mustache is quite absurd. Ain't it barmy? Join the army. Hands off yourself and on with your socks, he said to me the very first day I joined the volunteers. And though it sounds remarkable, I'm stationed in Sebastopol. Now, two things I would like to look up. I want to look up what the word barmy means. I'm assuming it's British slang of sorts. Let's see. Here you go, barmy. It's an informal British adjective that means crazy, foolish, or acting in a strange and silly way. Excellent. And then I would like to know where Sebastopol is. Sebastopol. It's the largest city in Crimea, and a major port on the Black Sea. It's also a place in California. Okay. It seems that it's in wine country in California. I'm imagining, he says, have you off the screen. It says, the very first day I joined the volunteers, and though it sounds remarkable, I'm stationed in Sebastopol. I'm assuming he's not in California. I'm assuming. Because it seemed like it was like a place that you probably wouldn't mind being. Here, I'll show you real quick. Some pictures. Seemed like it was a pretty nice place. Unless there's something I'm missing. Seems chill. Let's see. What a caper. Bless my maker. Because lately it's debatable if I'm alive and well. My thirst has been insatiable like a banshee out of hell. Now I've got bunions big as onions. You're gonna need some new shoes. Colonel Upshot Bagley wears a petticoat. No, he don't. He entertains his fellow men of tea, often finding light relief with a red-faced Batman underneath. And then Private 894-36271 received his final discharge yesterday. The only thing he said to me was, "Don't go sleeping under trees." Ain't it barmy? It's like Kate Bush, Hounds of Love. They're in the trees. So, the one thing he mentioned that he was dreaming of is a thing that this private says, don't do it. That'd be a mistake. Well, seems like that volunteer was not did not live up to the expectations of the dream. Let's move on. Highbury incident. Rainy July morning. A lot of those.
Yesterday went away.
It's kind of Beatles-esque. As a whole, now that I'm thinking about it. See how they lock into the kick and bass a lot? That's very Beatles.
Moved into our street. Boys all fancied chances, but I was so discreet. Turned up on my doorstep. You gave me such
great harmony.
Just to spite your boyfriend, you stayed all night. Words that I said, they just spun round your
Catch the
head.
hits.
Please don't think I'm resigned to just being
That sax effect, the panning is kind of cool.
home, but take it from me. You're as blind as can be.
Hey. It's a cool effect on that.
Yesterday you went away. There was something I meant to say about the way that you entertain your friends.
Hey.
Went too far, stole my car. I wouldn't mind if you weren't so fat. Nothing else could be worse than that at all. Now today you tell me you're only buying time. Well, I'm so glad you said, 'cause you sure were wasting mine. I hope you get your suntan. I hope you reach the sea. Get the fresh air in your lungs, dear. At least that's for free.
Nice flames.
You left home and you make it alone. Do you feel any pain? You have so much to gain. Could it be that I'm wrong? Does the hope linger on?
Love the way the sax plays here. Okay, so once again, like I said, the bass and the drums locked in, especially on the kick. You got the same effect here, except, of course, with the chords on the piano and the way that the bass plays here, which it almost plays more like a stand-up bass with just the movement, the bum, 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 like hitting that particular that stride. Using the same effects, playing the same way, but changing the notes a little bit, and all of a sudden this sounds a lot angrier. Even the singing has a snare to it. There's something a little bit more biting about it, which of course lyrically we get that. But I like how the rhythmic elements and like some of the instruments, like they're the same, but the approach changed a few things, twist some knobs, and all of a sudden it sounds angry, whereas the previous tracks sounded more playful and jaunty and joyful. So I think that that's really cool how they kind of approach it in a similar way, but just tweak a few things here and there. Really, really fantastic piano playing. I'm assuming it's Balquet handling that as well. I really enjoy that because it's the chords that he's playing. It sounds kind of, once again, in a similar manner as kind of that Western saloon style. But like I said, just with a little bit of a darker turn. The saxophone, God, it has a sexiness to it, but it also has a dastardly kind of nature, something devious about it. Like it's like a femme fatale kind of style where like ba 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 ba, like okay, really cool, like romantic, but then there's those little twists in there that kind of turn it a little bit. And there's a portion in there which reminded me a little bit of the way that the saxophone would be approached by Van de Graaff Generator, especially the panning that takes place. It kind of gives us a little bit more of a psychedelic kind of feel, and it kind of takes us to a little bit of a darker moment in that particular part. And listening to this track specifically, it's now bringing to mind, in kind of retrospect with what we've heard so far, that this is kind of Beatles-esque. You know, it's a little Beatles-coded with the way that they sound and the harmonies, especially in this track. In this one, the harmonies to me really sound and remind me of the Beatles. And of course, the way that the band takes some creative liberties and, you know, deviations, and they have a very adventurous spirit with how they perform. And of course, the Beatles are also known for that. So I don't know if that's a common comparison, but it's one that I particularly noticed. Not that it's a difficult comparison to make. I'm just closing my blinds really quick. Now that the sun is going down, close those blinds so no one's looking on in. Let's look at the lyrics on here. Seems that someone was trying to take advantage of them. Did it work? Yesterday you went away. There was something I meant to say about the way you entertain your friends. You went too far when you stole my car. Yeah, that's a step too far. I wouldn't mind if you weren't so fat. Nothing else could be worse than that. Okay. Rainy July morning, you moved into our street. Boys all fancied chances, but I was so discreet. Turned up on my doorstep, you gave me such a fright. Just to spite your boyfriend, you stayed all night. Just a troublemaker. All right, so she turns up on the doorstep, okay, and then that happens, and just not for him, but just to spite her boyfriend. Gotcha. Words that I said, they just spun around your head. Please don't think that I'm resigned to just being unkind. But take it from me, you're as blind as can be. Yesterday you went away, there was something I meant to say. Okay, so, I mean, they stayed all night, but he didn't have a lot of kindness, a lot of kind words to tell her. And now today you tell me you're only buying time. Well, I'm so glad you said, because you sure were wasting mine. See, this is the bitterness, see? Hope you get your suntan. I hope you reach the sea. Get the fresh air in your lungs, dear. At least that's for free. Now you've left home and you make it alone. Do you feel any pain? You had so much to gain. Could it be that I'm wrong? Does the hope linger on? I don't know. He seems like he's leaving her with some questions, but he's done. He's moved on. The Highbury incident. I guess it could be described as an incident. Sure. That one rainy July morning. Benjamin's giant onion. Was it as big as the private's bunions? Or the volunteers' bunions? Because those are some big bunions. World's biggest onion.
Some men sail across the ocean in it to risk life and live for no one. Some men bounce around in spacesuits on the moon, but Ben grows onions instead. Come rain or come shine, he spends all his time and ends his neediness in his pride and joy.
This scene is so sunny and bright. The master of ceremonies.
Now Ben's life is ruled by onions. They reek of fertilizer. All his family are leaving, but Ben is blind to it all. Take care, my friends. The onion doesn't get you in the end. Take heed from Ben.
Okay.
Onion send him right round.
We're now getting a guitar solo.
Take care, my friend. The onion doesn't get you in the end.
That sounds like someone else.
Take heed from Ben. Onion send him right round. Benjamin's days are happy, they say. His onions grow down and come rain or come shine, he spends all his time and energy-ness in his pride and joy. Now he's lost in conversation.
Even with the bells in addition, just makes it brighter.
In the greenhouse, and the doctors say, quite frankly, he's insane. Just then the onions arrive.
Give me some more of that bass. It's just zipping up and down. Kind of gets a little abstract here. I mean, it kind of sounds like Ben got a little obsessed with his onion and it kind of grew out of his hands. But you know what they say? Big onions lead to big tears, you know? Okay, so once again, similar beat, similar groove that we've heard previously. So it seems like that's really part of their style with this kind of marching. I don't know why my mind just was to like a parade kind of sound, but that's how I hear it. Okay, I like that ending a lot though. And the little bits of space that are kind of parsed out in this track as well. But the ending is where things kind of get a little interesting. And it seems like for a minute or so, they get a little experimental. Yeah, I really love this little. I really wish there was more of that bass. That's when they get some scenery involved as well. And I like how this track does a great job of using different effects, such as the vocals there from the crowd or the bells ringing and such. Like there's a lot of different effects that are used here in this track to its credit. But I really, really like the way that I wish that Karis got some more bass time, like solo bass time, because this little bit of transition, this bridge, felt like it was going somewhere more with him at that particular respect. But get into this ending. This chaotic nausea or whatever that's happening there. Really interesting. And that brief little, that little crazy flutter from the sax from Keith, that little bit there and parts of the ending kind of gave me this like Miles Davis Bitches Brew kind of feel. Like it sounded like it was like going towards that kind of abstract scenery and a little bit more experimental like that. Which, I mean, the whole ending really did. But I just thought that particular section there, it kind of reminded me about that. But the marching pattern is still keeping it very, very structured into the sound that, you know, they've kind of locked themselves into throughout the album. The rest of the song is good, right? Sounds fun. Love these little bits of break between the verses. All good. Like the drumming a lot in this section. The claps too. Little drama. But it's that ending that really sells it. And I like how this track, kind of like Grease Paint Smiles, kind of has a little bit more of a theatrical feel without being so overly dramatic. Like this track, especially with like the different voices and not necessarily the story, but in the way it's kind of delivered, reminds me of Genesis with Harold the Barrel. It's kind of giving me that era of Genesis here in this particular track. So I think that that's cool as well in here. Let's look at these lyrics. Let's find out what's going on. Let's find out what's going on with this onion. And beating on walled, a sight to behold, is Benjamin's overgrown onion plant. It's taken him years and gallons of tears, producing an onion so grand. Some men sail across the ocean in a tug, risk life and limb for no one, as we heard with the volunteer. Some men bounce around in spacesuits on the moon, but Ben grows onions instead. Listen, we all have our place in the world. Come rain or come shine, he spends all of his time and energy nursing his pride and joy. The lady next door can't stand anymore, it's driving her out of the neighborhood. Now Ben's life is ruled by onions, what a shame. His clothes, they reek of fertilizer. All his family are leaving, fancy that. But Ben is blind to it all. Blind, you know, in a emotional way, but also possibly because of the onion and there's too many tears in his eyes. Take care, my friends, the onion doesn't get you in the end. Take heed from Ben, onions send him right round the bend. Is this the case of the giant hogweed coming after you? Benjamin's days are happy, they say. His onions grow down in the funny farm. He's been sent to the funny farm. Come rain or shine, he spends all his time and energy nursing his pride and joy. Now he's lost in conversation with his friends, all alone in the greenhouse. And doctors say, quite frankly, he's insane. And then, just then, the onions arose. So maybe he wasn't insane the whole time. He really was nursing his pride and joy. Those onions are coming to collect a certain debt, perhaps. I don't know. Seems like a little bit of an interesting twist. And they're the onions. They're coming. Happy in the Lord. Moving on. It does sound like a hot day at church. Is that a plane?
Riding with a spitfire on my tail. Didn't heed my mother's warning. With God's help I surely shall prevail. Be home in bed tomorrow morning, happy in the Lord. Happy dawning, happy in the Lord.
I could hear Morrissey covering this track, especially that part.
In the morning, wedding bells will chime, honoring our great Creator. We'll be back in church from time to time. When Granny snuffs it 8 years later, happy in the Lord.
I could really hear Morrissey sing that.
Happy in the Lord. Kiss my sister. Since my teacher told me he will always be my friend, why should I despair? Though he's
great singing in that section with this falsettos.
We will do our good deed every day. Goodness is our greatest treasure. He will spread his bounty in our way. Life and death in equal measure. Happy in the Lord. Ah, happy dawning. Happy in the Lord. Ah, blessed morning. White the players, white the summer breeze. Whiter yet the holy umpire. He won't get the green stuff on his knees. He
You're
just
playing baseball
holds
now?
the bowler's jumper. Happy in the Lord. Ah, happy maiden. Happy in the Lord.
There's your harmonies.
Ah, silly maiden. Happy in the Lord. Ah, while we're waiting. Happy in the Lord. Ah, for his blessing.
Nice drumming back there.
Is the right and the right way and the right time and the right spirit and the right arm and the right hand,
Everything right.
the right foot, the right leg, and the right Christ.
Okay. This is a very, like, you know, kind of churchy kind of song, right? With the singing, even the chorus with the repeated part of the Happy in the Lord. Yes, obvious. But even the way he sings with the like, you know, really, really getting into that specific kind of singing and genre. I really, 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 really think that Morrissey could do such an awesome job in this track. Not that Andy didn't. I'm just saying I hear Morrissey listening to the kind of quasi yodeling s that he would do in here. He would rock this track. I can imagine actually all the Smiths or the Smiths covering this track, and it would kind of fit their style, and I could see them kind of tweaking it towards their style. But getting back to this track, okay. It's a fine, jolly, dandy track. Fine. I don't care for it too much, if I'm being honest. I feel like it's kind of like so far in the album, it's a good style they have, but there is a very similar kind of sound to them, right? Okay, they do twist things up, no doubt, but there's a similarity in their sound. However, I want more of like what's happening at the end. This whole
And the right
angry, I mean, the way he yells at the very end, this kind of experimentation and the way that it closes out, it's different. It stands out. It's unique. I want more of that. Moments like that really stick out, at least to me, and just take a risk or do something different. Because I thought that ending was really, really wonderful, and how that contrast kind of with the, of course, jolly, upbeat nature of this track, in which, you know, yes, there is a happiness to it, but there's also kind of a sadness to it, and there's also sort of a possibly taken advantage of at the end as he's listing off all these things. So, like, I think that variety is really cool, and I would like more of that as I'm kind of going through this here and listening. It's all well performed, very well performed. It's jolly. Really sounds. Now I'm really thinking Beatles here. I like how I get a little guitar in here that stands out just a little bit more. Like I said, there's elements in here, but it kind of feels very similar to what we've heard before. This last minute though, that last minute makes me want more of that and that kind of experimentation. Kind of like the last minute of Onion. Like, you know, there's moments where they kind of start to tread out into these other avenues, but I want them to take it like far, you know? I want them to run with it. not just tiptoe. Riding with a Spitfire on my tail, didn't heed my mother's warning. With God's help, I surely shall prevail. Be home in bed tomorrow morning. Happy in the Lord, ah, happy dawning. Happy in the Lord, ah, blessed morning. In the morning, wedding bells will chime, honoring our great Creator. We'll be back in church from time to time when Granny snuffs it 8 years later. So we're here at the church for the wedding. Beautiful, great. Yeah, we'll come back every once in a while, and especially when Granny's gone in 8 years, we'll come for the funeral and such. But between that, on occasion perhaps. Since my teacher told me he will always be my friend, why should I despair? Though he's way above me, he will love me till the end, till the day he comes to take me there. We will do our good deed every day. Goodness is our greatest treasure. He will spread his bounty in our way, life and death in equal measure. You get a little bit of both. White the players, white the summer breeze, whiter yet the holy umpire. He won't get the green stuff on his knees. He just holds the bowler's jumper. So I feel like we're getting different situations here, like in completely different occasions that are happening with each person. But they're all happy in the Lord. They're all praying for, whatever outcome they want. But there's also this, kind of tongue-in-cheek and of like, it's not really gonna... Like, there's always this twist to it. Such as the wedding that's happening. I'm assuming this is a baseball game that's happening. Well, of course, every team is praying that they win. I don't have the exact ending of what's being said at the end, but it seems like we're kind of taking a little finger poke at the church here. Lyrics are funny, though. I'll give it that. Let's move forward into Rufus T. Firefly. Rufus T. Firefly. Okay. So that's a name. Okay, already? Very Canterbury kind of sound here. This is the one. That jazzy flute. This is the one. Baseline, man. Ow. We're talking. Come on. That is such a Canterbury sound. Well. Let's do a little search in my comment section. Let's see if anyone's ever recommended that particular track. Up. Look at that. No comments found. I don't know why, because that's, at this particular point, the best track on the album. That is my favorite. That is pure ecstasy. That is pure, like, the feeling. that is just joy. That is fun to listen to. Everyone gets such a brilliant moment to shine, from the jazzy flute to psychedelic squonky guitar, and the keys, the drumming. Oh God, the drum, the bass playing. Oh God, the bass playing. This is the best track so far on the album. I don't know what else to say except what has the song said for itself from the very beginning. Very funky kind of rhythm right here, right? And this fits so perfectly right into the Canterbury scene. I don't know if the band has ever been part or associated with the Canterbury scene, but it fits right into that kind of slice of like Soft Machine is like where I'd put this kind of track. But I love that squonky key there, and the funky way that it plays. It has a very humid feel to it. And then the hits, like it's just really fun and exciting, and the momentum that's gathered at that moment and sprung forward as the different solos begin and as different melodies come in and out. Really just makes it a really engaging, enjoyable listen. Let's dive through it a little bit. Okay, first of all, even the leads here, in some ways, kind of continue on a little bit of that kind of circus-esque kind of theme. But we're mostly moving past the big tents and onto the outskirts here at this particular point. I love the little bit of jazzy flute that are playing in there as well to lead. Get out of here. Let's get to these solo sections. Love this quietness. Love it come down to something very graceful, very calm, very elegant. Then that guitar begins to pick in. And from that point forward, it has such this cool, biting, kind of fun, stinging tone to it, which I find really engaging. And I find like it's just kind of not scorches. It sears things like you're searing a steak. It adds a nice smoky flavor to it. That's exactly what the guitar at that point does to the track. It has a smokiness to it. See, there's still a lot of playfulness. Then we get to this. What I think of when I hear that is like a stampede scene in a Western film, or like a scene where like a horse chase or something like that, where like the riders are riding over the plain in pursuit of someone, or a battle is happening. But I love how the drums change tone there. I love how the guitar hops onto that groove as well. And yes, this sounds completely different than this. But the way that that's so jazzy. But the way that they work towards that is really, really well done. it's just a really, really catchy moment there. Really awesome. We'll come right back in full effects of this. The drumming, man, he's grooving out there. That to me is a perfect track. This is excellent. I don't know who Rufus T. Firefly is supposed to be. I'm doing a Google search right now just to see if it pops up anything. Well, pop up it shall. Rufus T. Firefly is the iconic wisecracking character played by Groucho Marx in the classic Marx Brothers comedy film Duck Soup. Now, I've never seen Duck Soup. Honestly, can't say that I've seen anything from the Marx Brothers, but I can say that that's a good track. That's what I can say. Excellent. Excellent. And I see that this particular one looks like that it was written by Bouquet. Looking at it, I just happen to see that here. Really, really awesome. All right, let's move on to the next track here. No one's more important than the earthworm. Put some respect on the earthworm's name. I like that. That organ rip, man. You ain't playing.
I can sit on sands by the sea and see the Vikings fascinating me by the moonlight.
Yeah.
Everything that changes at the sunrise. There are green lands, rivers and trees and sands where birds sing. Animal paradise exactly makes me feel glad to be an earthling. But the ostrich always gets his man. He jumps out from a bush.
Wow.
He can run faster than a zebra can, but it always takes a push in the morning, burying the head he was born in. Oh, no one's more important than the earthworm. But there are mindless, rather than mages every single time. Just as long as I can make the end right. It's too late, I just can't change my birth sign. But then one day, when yellows and
He almost sounds like Wetton a
blues
little
are
bit.
over, just lay me neath the last square inch of clover. No one's more important than the earthworm. But the ostrich always gets his man. He jumps out from a bush. He can run faster than a zebra can, but it always takes a push in the morning, burying the head he was born in. No one's more important than the earthworm. Than the earthworm.
God, this song, man. Wow, 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 wow. I don't think that I would have thought an hour and 12 minutes ago. I wouldn't have thought that I'd be saying one of my favorite tracks here is "No one's more important than the earthworm." I just don't think that that sentence coming out of my mouth was ever in my purview. Oh, wow. Okay. This is the second best track so far on the album. Between this and Rufus, maybe it's bug related. I don't know. There's something about the bugs in this one. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. I'm assuming it's still Andy singing. He sounds completely different. He reminds me a little bit of John Wetton and Greg Lake in a certain way, in the way that he sings and the approach there. Fantastic, phenomenal. You know, I love a big song like this. I love one with a stretched out rhythm that allows a lot of room for ambience, for atmosphere, and then some play within that. And they do a phenomenal job here. This sounds very like Pink Floyd influence, like very, very much so. But you're not gonna hear me complain about that because it's a great formula. It's a great band to have a little bit of inspiration from. Absolutely brilliant. I love the saxophone in here. That first note that holds out and like just screams alongside of the music is hair raising. Wherever hair you might have it, like, you know, but it's raising it. The few times that it comes through and solos is brilliant. Like I said, the singing is great. Great bass playing inside of that. It's just a great song. It's a really, really fantastic one. From the start, man. It's like they all quickly align themselves and then just smack it. Just smack it. Man, guitar is phenomenal. Like I said, great singing. Organs ripping it up. Nice hits to keep that momentum. Not just make it a slow, big song. It's like that. Parts of that he sounds like wet to me. Great filling in of the bass. Like I said, in a track like that, that's slower, you know, tempo-wise, there's just a lot more room to play with it. And they do. But don't put so much in it that why'd you leave all the space in the first place? They do a great job structuring this one. Awesome. Awesome. 5 out of 5. I have a sneeze coming. Is it going to go away? That was a no. I can sit on sands by the sea and see the Vikings fascinating me. By the moonlights, everything changing except the sun and tide. There are green lands, rivers and trees, and sands where birds sing. Animal paradise a crackling, make me feel glad to be an earthling. Oh, but the ostrich always gets his man. He jumps out from a bush, he can run faster than a zebra can. But it always takes a push in the morning, burying the head he was born in. Oh, no one's more important than the earthworm. But there are minors rather than majors every single time, just as long as I can make the end rhyme. It's too late. I mean, that was a quick rhyme. It's too late. I can't change my birth sign. But then one day, when yellows and greens and blues are over, just lay me beneath the last square inch of clover. No one's more important than the earthworm. Okay, I'll be 1,000% honest. I'm not. I mean, well, at first I was going to say I'm not exactly sure what the track's about, but then that's the part where you would laugh at me and say, JP, it's right in the title of the track. No one's more important than the earthworm. So I think in the most literal way, that's what it's about. And he says, like, you know, all these other things could fascinate me, but I'm fascinated by the simplest, relatively, of things, which is the earthworm and all the things that it does in its tiny little way. And I will say, on a personal note, that, like, here in Florida, I can't speak for other places. I'm sure it happens as well. But in the morning, of course, the dew covers the grass, and it's very moist here. It's always very moist. So, you know, the grass and the soil is usually wet for quite a while after sunrise. And the worms always come out. They come out of the grass, out of the soil, of course, so they don't drown in there, basically. And they end up on the sidewalk, which, of course, as the sun begins to come out and it gets hot quick here, they crisp up and die. As a kid, And even still to this very day, when I am out in the morning and I see the earthworms on the sidewalk trying to make their way back, into the grass and such, I put them back in the grass. It's a little act of mercy. I've always done it ever since I was a kid, and I still do it to this day, like when I'm out on a run or whatever. Now, is the soil still a little wet? Yes, most of the time. But I figured like they stand a better chance, at least in the soil, than they do burning to death on the sidewalk. But that's just me. All right, pocket billiards. My dad used to play pool quite a bit. Great drum intro. Great drumming, besides the intro. Did I click? Or castanets? I like the organ. Almost has an accordion-like sound. Brush there. This is like the very progressive instrumental. This is the one that we get a lot of different facets. Xylophone? I like how that swing kind of acts as the transition to the different parts here. Oh, that's fun. Okay, this is an instrumental, obviously, like Rufus T. Firefly. But whereas that one, I don't know, there's a certain Canterbury charm about that one. This one is like the very progressive track. This is the one where they're like, okay, let's just put down a jam, but let's show off all the different facets we can do. And listen, they do that really fantastically. There's a lot of really great moments in here. But once again, I think that the drumming is a huge standout. What are they playing? Is it xylophone that they bring in here at this one? There's nothing else necessarily credited in here. It sounds like xylophone. This sounds like, to me, in my ignorance, kind of first exposure or major exposure to the band, it sounds like Stackridge kind of pulling a Gentle Giant, where, Gentle Giant, like, they pull out all these instruments. They can all play so many different things, and they start to switch instruments. It's like a Dream Theater, Nightmare Cinema kind of situation. And it feels like you get something like that here, where they're bringing out all the stops. They bring out every single sound instrument that they can bring in, and they put it in there. And not in some gaudy kind of way. Like, it sounds like I'm probably building up to something negative. I'm not. And I actually promise I'm not building up to like a negative criticism or anything like that. But like, this is really like, to me, that they're bringing out their top talent and they're showing off everything in here. And there's a lot of really cool sounds that they kind of filter through. And they always use the ba ba ba, like they always use the hits as kind of a transition piece. So this is like a faster Canterbury kind of sound here with that effect we played, but the bass playing. And I love this slow down when they walk it down. Because it does sound kind of like a cool, this would be a really cool pool hall, basically, if they're playing music like this. But it does have a sort of action in it, but also a coolness. There's a cool factor to it. I gotta say, though, my favorite part of this track, let me see if I can find it real quick. After this. There you go. And they jazz it up. Bring it down a little bit. You got that little bit of flute, hold on. I had gone too far. My bad. Okay, let it come into it. Right here. Piano comes in a little bit more. That guitar fades away just a little bit, just in the background. But there's that beautiful jazziness that is enriched there from the guitar. And it's a little moment, but it is my favorite moment there with what Balcat brings into that particular moment in the track. It's just a really nice kind of coming down. We descend, then we pick it back up. And when we pick it back up, we bring in some uniqueness as well. Here, using the hits, right? Get to that main riff. This is the main riff. Ba, ba. Skip that. Here. I feel like there's a part of their sound, kind of thinking about the album as a whole, that almost has a toy box kind of feel to it. Something very playful, to it as well. It's like a Jack in the Box. You never know what you're going to get inside. And with that, we will move on into the final track here on the album. Who's that up there with Bill Stokes? Should we look up who Bill Stokes is first, or should we wait? Let's wait. Let's not spoil it. Some opera soprano kind of singing. It's an interesting vocalization to bring in there. Kind of working towards that bigger drama here. That's a really like fun, swinging kind of lead line. I like the claps. That sax ride. That's very like very soul and kind of funk a little bit. Interesting. We're building up to something heavy. Where are we going? I feel like they dropped you off pretty quickly at the station there when they're finished with you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Extravaganza by Stackridge ending. So it's really interesting. Like the album is almost split up kind of into two halves. The first half very, song oriented, and then the second half with three instrumentals there. It's just interesting how it's kind of split. And I feel like the second half, there's definitely more of a progressive and, dare I say, adventurous kind of spirit there as well. Okay, so here with Bill Stokes, we once again have these really catchy melodies that kind of act as the roots, the chorus, just as often happens in jazz. Like you'll have a specific melody that acts as the home, and then we stray from home for a little bit for a solo, then we come back. And here you're doing a very similar thing with the and then it goes on to different, of course, areas from there. That moment where it gets really heavy halfway through before it ends up in the final send-off, I thought that was a really cool build-up here. With the drums, before that. This whole marching pattern with those big, almost timpani-like drums being played there, that created such a tension that like you knew it was going to just blow up in the music. You knew it was just going to go somewhere. And I do wish that it went into like a bigger kind of ending rather than just kind of going back to the chorus and the main groove of which it was playing before. But I can't say I'm disappointed because that's such a strong groove that was being played before. This bass line is funky, it's fun. There's a swagger to it that I think that is kind of undeniable. And in the middle, it's kind of jazzy as well. Here, right here. I'm never gonna argue against a little bit of sax like that. And with the 4 on the floor, bah, 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 it's a good time. I think that this is a really, really fun way and a good time to end the album. And it works. I will say, Firefly is like, if I'm ranking instrumentals, Firefly is my favorite, but this is a solid way to end the album. Let's look at some of the info on this one. Let's see. The album was produced by Tony Ashton at Air Studios in London. The band experienced a significant lineup change after its previous album, with James Warren, James Crunwalter, and Billy Sparkle all leaving. That's kind of interesting. That is quite a significant change to lose 3 of your members there. The album was originally released in the UK on Elton John's label, the Rocket Record Company. They were the first group signed to that new label. A different version of the album was released by Sire Records in the US and Canada. This version removed 2 songs already released and added Do the Stanley from the UK single and The Indifferent Hedgehog. Singer and songwriter Gordon Haskell rehearsed with Stackridge for a short time during 1974. It's interesting. Though he decided not to join Stackridge, the group recorded one of his songs. Originally called Worms, the version on Extravaganza was retitled No One's More Important Than the Earthworm. Okay? Wait a second. What album was Haskell on that we've listened to from King Crimson? Where is he? Those are solo albums. Where is he? No, we've heard him before. Yeah, in Lizard. Okay. But he's not singing, right? Because I did say that I did say in the track that it kind of sounded like Wetton / Greg Lake, which would lead to King Crimson in a sense. So there's a connection to be made there. Let's see. The song Happy in the Lord, written by Phil Welton, was a cover of a song originally performed by the band Fat Grapple and released as a single by them in 1975. Never heard of the band Fat Grapple, but Eddie Jobson? Is that a band that Jobson was involved in? Fat Grapple. Let me do a Control F. Now I'm curious. Okay. At 16, he applied to study at the Royal Academy, but was denied a place because of his age, so he joined the local band Fat Grapple. There's layers upon layers. There's layers here to some of the members and the music and such. Anyways, favorite tracks in case it wasn't obvious to you. My favorite songs are very easily Rufus T. Firefly and No One's More Important Than the Earthworm. I think that those two are just perfect. 5 out of 5s. Could listen to them all day. It's really interesting how the album is split up as well. They have a really cool sound. There's no doubt. I enjoy the album, and I think that they have a really cool sound. I will say that, after a while, after Happy in the Lord, basically, I was kind of like, it's not that every song sounds the same, but I don't know, there's a very similar threading between the tracks. But man, the second half shook things up in a really nice way. I think that was the perfect time. So their way of arranging the track list and such works really, really well to their credit. Let me know, of course, what you all thought of the album, what your favorite track or your favorite tracks are in general from here. I hope that you all enjoyed it. Hope that you had a great time listening to it. Paul, thank you so much once again for sending in the request. I truly, truly appreciate that and the support there as well. And I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here. Come back next time, and I will see you then. Bye, guys.